Hi, I'm Bree. Welcome to Oliver's fourth rehab series video. And I'm so excited to come at you from a different location. I talked about last week, unfortunately, the other place we were at was not optimal for his feet due to some footing issues. And I have been able to find a location that I think will be more supportive for his feet barefoot because unfortunately, with a barefoot, when you are dealing with like thin soles or weak walls, you can run into issues where the ground is over abrasive for the foot, and it can be hard to support that during a barefoot transition without wanting to just throw shoes back on. So he is now at a new location. I haven't done very much to his feet. I did pull the super fast off. Half of it was peeling off already, so I pulled it off this week and did a little toe correction on his hinds, which I will show you. And that is another thing I find really important to basically support them through their barefoot rehab is frequent trims, because then you can make changes for optimal hoof growth, you know, even if you're not taking a lot. So like say you're doing every 2-3 weeks. And I'm just super impressed with him. I actually did ride him for the first time. Unfortunately, he was lame afterward, and I believe that's probably due to both his feet and his body. So I'll show you a little bit of that and talk about my opinions on riding a horse through a hoof rehab in this video, because I have decided after today that I probably won't be riding him, and the factors that go into that, because you just want to support them, and there's so many different variables that go into a comfortable, healthy hoof. And I just want to be real and honest with all of you guys and show you that it's not always sunshine and rainbows. It's not like, oh, you pull the horse's shoes off and then they're just magically barefoot. Sometimes there is that transitory period where you do need to support them through the transition and all of that good stuff. So we'll get into it now. So here's how he was moving the day after we got him to the new place. I was actually pretty optimistic. This is the reason why I decided to ride him, because he was looking so much better in the softer footing of both the arena and the round pen. And I'm just super grateful to be able to have a better, softer place to be able to use him and do the in-hand work and all the stuff that we're going to be doing for the rehab. So here is him getting his hind toes sorted out. So it looks a little bit like he was being Yankee. What I have noticed, and I've seen this in a lot of different rehabs, is sometimes when the horse's feet are tender, they will actually be less balanced when they pick their feet up. So like just keeping that in mind, I'm just here to support him. I'm trying to find neutral for his limb wherever that is for him. So if it's way out wide or if it's right near the ground or whatever, that's where I'm going to hold their feet up for best results. And I just feel like it's kind of the farrier or whoever is handling their feet to put it wherever they feel the most comfortable instead of fighting with them. So that's my take on that. And just being able to rasp the feet every couple weeks or so, geez, being able to rasp and touch up the feet every couple weeks or so is really important in a hoof rehab, because I feel like when they are distorted and going through a lot of changes, any little change in the opposite direction can be detrimental to them. So in order to stay ahead of those changes, I'm just rasping those toes back every couple of weeks. Even though he has thin soles and his feet are not in like the best condition after the footing that he was in at the other place, it's still important to make sure that I'm supporting him having the best alignment in his hoof capsule. So what can happen with hoof care when you go out to 6 weeks, 8 weeks, even 12 weeks, which is extremely long in my opinion, even if the horse has worn down their feet, there is still the potential for them to become imbalanced and to wear their feet improperly, which I have noticed with Oliver. He tends to wear his heels uneven in all four of his feet, even in the super fast and it's important to make sure you stay on top of that when you're trying to rehab, because obviously that can put a lot of pressure on their joints, and the inside of their foot has to compensate for that, and it can just become pretty painful. So I'm grateful that he is with me so I can continue to work on him gradually over time. And that's definitely why I named my business the way that I did, because I just believe in making slow, sustainable changes for balance that can help the horse over time. Because the last thing I want to do is to take their foot to where I think it needs to be, like in terms of balance and the alignment of the bones in the leg and the hoof angles, and make the horse extremely sore, because sometimes there's a lot of stuff happening on the inside of the hoof that we need to change and heal in order to best support them in having the best hoof, and supporting them with a diet and with hoof protection and with all of the other things aside from hoof care. So I just really believe that it's important to make these small changes over time in order to have the best chance at sustainable balance. So I was super optimistic about how his feet were looking at the new place and about how he was moving. So I did decide to finally hop on him. And I think that riding during a rehab can actually be beneficial in some cases. Um, I do feel like he does need a pair of boots in this arena because there are rocks in it. The round pen doesn't have as many rocks, but the arena does. And just like with his thin soles and stuff, I'm definitely going to be investing in a pair of riding boots for him. But what I wanted to talk about with riding during a hoof rehab is, when do you know that it's okay and when do you know how to back off? And I felt like this was a really good example because he was doing great. I decided to finally hop on and just get that baseline of how he was moving and how he felt under saddle. And unfortunately, he got worse during the ride. So, as you can see, he's moving pretty decent just right out of the gate. He was super willing, super excited for me to hop on, and he just started going. And I actually hopped off later on to adjust the saddle, and that was when we started running into issues. So, this saddle is fully adjustable because it has a leather tree and also leather panels on the bottom. So, I had just noticed there was a little bit of me tipping too far back in the saddle. So, I decided to pull it off and readjust it to see how he went. And I'm not fully confident that the soreness was all from his feet at this point. I do think he has a little bit of equipment lameness, and that is usually caused by poor fitting equipment. So I'm super grateful I have this, and I also have the saddle fitter to help guide me through this process to help keep the saddle from putting too much pressure in areas where it's not supposed to, and also help support him through this rehab where his body is going to change a lot just from the work that we're doing in hand, and also getting his feet more comfortable, because horses' feet are sore, that the rest of their body is going to tense up to compensate for that. So after I adjusted this saddle, I just hopped back on. I maybe only rode him for 20 minutes the whole time, like with the first half and also with adjusting the panels and getting back on. And immediately when I got back on, he seemed a lot more reluctant to go, a lot more tense, just didn't feel right. Like his movement was very choppy. His strides were not as smooth as they were before. So, this is the biggest factor in my decision to not ride him during this rehab. So, I may hop on him again here and there if he's starting to feel better, but at this time, I don't think it's going to be beneficial to ride him and put him through the strain that riding does put on their body when they can't carry themselves properly, whether that's from lack of like physical capability like he has right now, and also from sore feet. So I think it's so important to give them that time off from riding to allow them to rehab, because it can take up to a year plus for them to start feeling comfortable again without being ridden, without going through a lot of work. So, what my focus is going to be with him is going to be on improving his comfort, improving his soundness with his hooves and with his body by doing things like this in hand work that I'm doing with him. Just the slow, gentle stuff that helps retrain his nervous system and his body to function properly in order to carry a person again, because it's been a long time since he's been ridden and he's probably not been supported in the best way possible with how he was ridden in the past. And I just want to make sure that he's feeling fully comfortable and sound again before riding him. So after I rode him, I hopped off because he was not doing as well, walked him out, just kind of felt guilty for riding and making him sore, but I'm also grateful that it happened so I can share all of the pieces with you on his rehab, because I think it's so important to recognize and be aware of what you're doing with your horse and if it's benefiting them or if it's making them worse. So I took him into the round pen after I rode him again and just asked him to move at liberty because I just wanted to check his gaits, really see how much of it was hoof tenderness, how much of it was from the equipment. And as you can see, he's pretty short, especially at the trot. I really feel like it's probably his feet and his body. I am having my friend Morgan with Feeling Fine Equine Therapy to come out and work on him in the next video, I guess, in the next week, just to make sure that I'm getting all of the puzzle pieces sorted out to help him feel better. And a pair of boots are on the way as well for his comfort in his hooves. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching and supporting both Oliver and I through this rehab. This is really fun because this is the first time I've had my own personal horse that I have pulled steel shoes off to rehab, and I'm super impressed with his progress so far. He's only had his shoes off for about 2.5 weeks at this point, and I'm just super optimistic for his future, for him having solid balanced bare hooves. So anyway, if you want to receive updates, make sure you subscribe and don't forget to like this video. It helps my stuff get out to more people who may need to hear the contents of it. So anyway, I'll see you next week.